children are in the best position to create a foundation where positivity and kindness and respect really shines through. And what we really do well within Gowrie as part of our philosophy is build those relationships and create a foundation of kindness and respect that carries through all aspects of our programs. It allows us a space where children are given that foundation of learning, of connection, of respect, and offered the ability to have a voice and not be silenced.
Well, this term we've begun creating our own acknowledgement of country in the form of a song. So we wanted to create something that was meaningful for the children. Sometimes I think an acknowledgement, while important in any form, needs to be understood by the people that are presenting it. We've started from the place of connecting the children to country, so they've got a little song that they sing each morning about being connected to the land, the plants, the rivers and the sky, and it's been really heartening to see how the children have taken it on. We've had parents come in just this week saying that they've been hearing this song at home from the children, so it's really lovely to see that the children are taking that on board.
At the harbour, we're positioned right next to the Birrarung, the Yarra River. We're very fortunate, and we use this as a place where we go to explore local First Nations perspectives. The place is rich with First Nations knowledges and stories and histories and truths that we share with the children. So at the moment we've been doing excursions to Birrarung with the children in Room Perrin, and we've been visiting Birrarung. We've been wondering who lives in Birrarung. We've been wondering who created Birrarung. And with that, we take those ideas that the children have and we bring that back into the classroom, and the children have created a small world Birrarung play area with all their ideas that we've incorporated from the excursions, as well as the book by Auntie Joy Murphy, Willem, A Birrarung Story.
The best ways that we are able to embed Indigenous perspectives is through the Out and About program. The children are on country, they're connecting with the landscape, with the forms, with the animals, and through that, we can introduce the animals and the creeks' original names in their original languages, and the children really take that on board, and it's a way of respecting the environment and its history. So when we talk about creek, we either use the word Yarluk for river, Bunwurrung word, or we use Wurneet for creek, and the children really take that on board. They quite often refer to it independently as Yarluk or Wurneet, and I think it just is a nice way for them to acknowledge the history through the use of their original names.
To support the children in understanding the rich history of our country, we've been using the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander language map to map out the different creation stories that we have been reading throughout the program with the children. We've also been using the map to map out where the children have been visiting on their holidays, and we've also been using that map to map out the podcasts that we've been listening to with them on Little Yarns. And the children are getting a broader understanding that this country has many different knowledges that have been embedded and that are part of this land for tens of thousands of years.
The children are really interested at the moment in volcanoes. So we've started to look at the dreaming story of the Gunditjmara people. We have a Gunditjmara knowledge holder in our community who gave us permission to share the story. And so we've been looking at, not only those, the geological form and the excitement of the lava, but also how that ties into the Gunditjmara people's understanding and belief in how the landscape was formed and the importance of the landscape, which really connects children to their understanding of why it's important to protect country, because those stories are held within the landscape.
When the children met Auntie Fiona Clark, it was really powerful because every day when we do our acknowledgement of country, we always acknowledge and pay our respect to the elders. And this was the first time that they met an elder. So it put it into context for them and it became a really authentic experience, and that has just made the acknowledgement of country more meaningful for them, which is so powerful.
I think last year, during coronavirus period and so on, it was a pretty stressful, awful time. And Lou, our youngest boy, wandered off from his room and came over to the Aboriginal garden here and made his own sort of tribute. And he explained this on film as being, it's the Aboriginal land and he had to do something for it. And it was terribly earnest and sincere for him. He went and got a flag, the Aboriginal flag from somewhere, and he collected some rocks and some leaves. And, in his way, it was this really profound tribute. And it was treated with real respect. The educators came and they talked to him, and they documented this in his book, and they documented it also for the other children in the centre and told us with real pride that he'd initiated something that showed he'd really deeply understood some of what they were teaching all the children about First Nations culture, and we were incredibly proud that they'd done that for our son. For me, it's particularly important that Gowrie teaches the children about First Nations people, language and culture, and there's a garden here that has some Aboriginal plants in it, and we were really taught very little in our education growing up in my generation, and it really fills me with hope that the children here, I think, can walk towards a much better future and make a much better Australia because they've got this respect deeply instilled and this sense of wonder about living in this land with Aboriginal culture, which is incredible.
It's important to embed Indigenous perspectives in our program, I think, firstly, because out of respect, these are sovereign lands that we're living on. These are Aboriginal lands that have had language and custom and culture that have existed for 60,000 plus years. And we need children to know that rich knowledge that they have of how to protect country, of how to look after country, how to live in harmony with country. And these are, this is a knowledge system that was built over 60,000 years. It's time for us to really take that on board. It was maybe something missing from the education system of my generation, but it's something that we can embed going forward.
Children are curious, and we as adults have fear. What we're offered in early childhood is a way to break through that fear and really understand where we've come from and how we can connect back to that and what we can offer now as a society. And children and early learning spaces really are a fantastic strategy to make change.